So let's go ahead and welcome Pastor Carl, Chris, Amber, Buddy, and his wife, Natalie.
Yeah. I would stand. You want to stand? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Good.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Okay. Really want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and their hearts, our hearts, for how you have stood with Israel. You've prayed, you've given, and you've not given a little, you've given a lot. And we have done our best to really apply that well. We'll start showing you some pictures momentarily. Oh, I don't have that clicker, do you? Do I? Who has the clicker? Never mind, I'll find it myself. But I can do this, all right. Now, okay, I'm going to go through the worship set. I'm going to go through the worship set again because I had a really good time with that. But yeah, can we just roll the video while I talk a little bit? This video that you're going to see is a rainy day. Misgav Am is up on a mountain. That's the Kibbutz that these guys live at. These guys live at for months and months and months out of the year. And it's really a second home for us. But you see, we're driving up the road. You see some damaged guardrails. That could have been rockets, or it could have been just a little tank that kind of went off the road a little bit. But this is the road up to our kibbutz Misgav Am. It's really right on the border. There's a place where we stand where lectures are often given, where I could toss a softball underhandedly towards the sound booth, and it could go over the wall into Lebanon. Okay, so we're really like right on the border. And we're going to walk you through some of these in a minute. Let me pause this here. What's the pause? Okay. Thank you. All right. Better. Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit, but I think I'm going to go back. But yes. And then I will go back some more. Am I doing it? Okay, let's just stop right there. Let's stop there. But, wait, let's see what's going on here. Okay, now, friends, brethren, I really appreciate the turnout today and all of you that got invited or came extra because, you knew that people were going to be here from Israel. I just want to point out that Natalie Dumitrescu and Buddy, Natalie manages the Mitzpor, which is the scenic overlook where we give our lectures to all kinds of groups, foreign groups, a lot of tourists, a lot of Christians, a lot of people from all over the world, political groups, military groups, ambassadors, all kinds of people. And she's the manager, and Buddy was a major in the IDF. He served 17 years, and he gives like a strategic historical lecture. And as a backdrop, we have all of southern Lebanon, okay, right outside these windows. And remember that the joke about these big windows, giant plate glass windows for this massive panoramic view where you could look into southern Lebanon towards the west and eventually the Mediterranean and the north, and to the east, just the border that goes to Mount Hermon, where I believe Jesus conducted his staff meeting with his two department heads, known as the Transfiguration. But so that's our stomping grounds, and they know that territory like the back of their hand. Now, I was there in Israel for about 10 days before October 7th, and we're just working on stuff, and we've got vision, and the Lord is blessing, and we're going to do this great enhancement and expansion of our study and lecture area to attract more people, right, to have more influence. And then October 7th occurred, and the country was in shock and mourning and horror because, these guys will explain their own experiences shortly, but the atrocities occurred way down in the south outside of the Gaza Strip, right? And that's a little, relatively small patch towards Egypt, where Israel meets Egypt. But we're way, way, way in the north. And we're working on projects and we're doing things, but then the atrocities of October 7th occurred. But we were told by Hezbollah, the other bad guys in the north. Hamas is in the south, Hezbollah is in the northern border. They said that that's what they wanted to do to us in the north, to all the communities in the north. So Hassan Nasrallah, the head of the Hezbollah, the bad guys that are, supported financially massively by Iran, who occasionally, every once in a while, somebody gives them like billions of dollars for some reason. And, but usually he's got a reputation kind of in the Mideast where he actually does what he says he's going to do. So Israel was expecting that they would do that. And then they started, Hezbollah started putting out videos, and they started doing these little things that were out of the ordinary right on the other side of our wall, okay? While Chris and Amber were there, and he'll describe that. But so we're living like, that could happen. And then it happens horrifically in the south. And then in a few days, because the government expected something like that to happen to the north, all the communities along the northern border were evacuated. About 130,000 people were displaced from their homes. Imagine if you left your home, your 1, 2, 3 bedroom, nice kitchen, garage, organized storage, everything. You had to leave your home, and they said, we're going to put you in a hotel room. How long? I don't know. A month, maybe 3 months. Make that 6. Okay, and basically it's been since last October. And so the kibbutz was evacuated. And at that point, I started going around, and the Lord provided money, and I bought all this stuff for the security teams and for other projects that Israel was doing to support their soldiers. And the Lord is just continued to richly bless Zechariah's hope, meaning use us. We call, when I say bless, that means that we're being used by the Lord. We're in the groove. Chris and Amber go over there in December, last December, like right before Christmas, right? Right before? And they became honorary refugees along with the Israelis. To us, it's like a great privilege to be granted like refugee status, okay? And to live with our Israeli friends, but there are no words, and Israelis have expressed this and shown this and demonstrated that and this is not a boast in ourselves, but this is by the grace of God, that we either stayed there with them, we didn't leave, because I remember when the war, I was going to stay there for 2 weeks. I wound up staying there for a month and a few days. I had massive pressure from my relatives to get back to the States. Carl, you're on your way to the airport, right? Why would I want to? No. Carl, and then day after day after day. And finally I said, if you keep texting me this stuff, I'm going to block you. And this is my near of kin, super near of kin. And I said, when your friends are hurting, you don't split on your friends. You go to your friends. You stay with your friends. You stand with your friends. You don't, you're having trouble? I'm out of here. So anyway, and then Chris and Amber come over, and the love that the Lord uses to show through these guys, it radically impacts their hearts. And besides the things that we do, we try to purchase, we try to make happen and all that kind of stuff. But there are many things to talk about that. In this picture right here, what you see in front of us are each one of those, of course, are special friends, precious friends. But Zechariah's Hope put together a massive international smuggling operation, which when they did it was actually smuggling, okay? and they successfully smuggled all these special boots and a bunch of combat knives, which it's not something you're supposed to bring in Israel. A bunch of other multi-tools, a bunch of other gifts, for the security teams at Misgav Am. Thank you for praying for the security team at Misgav Am. Not one guy has been wounded or killed. Okay, that's massive, because they're all husbands and fathers, and their lives are of inexpressible value to us personally, right? So, unfortunately, the kibbutzim, or the communities right to our south, have not been as fortunate as us. We'll get to that eventually, but anyway, they smuggled all these shoes over there for the guys, and then they, do I have to point this somewhere when I do this? Because, oh yeah, I do want to start. No, I don't want to play it. I just want to control the pictures and move one at a time. Can we do that? Okay. I've got it on. Who's got it on pause? I have a laser now. I know that. Okay. Okay. All right. This next picture here. These are precious people, but this is at Selena, where they were transferred to, and then this is something else. Hey guys, I'm gonna hand this to you, and see if you could do it. But what you're looking at in this picture, in a minute, is we went to, oh man, we're all over the place here, but oh, I see. I think I almost see what's going on. All right, this is where the massacre occurred in the south, outside of the Gaza Strip, at the big Nova Music Festival. So it seems like what I went to with these buttons is I skipped from just groups of pictures. I went to the first picture in each one. So I need to go back to group set 1, Selena 1. Sure. The first one is that this is the first set of pictures. So each file I set had about 5 or 6 pictures. So I want to turn it over to Chris and Amber. This is another set. So these aren't actual individual slides. There were 4 sets of like 5 or 6 pictures each. This is the security team inside the command bunker up at Misgav Am at the beginning of the war. So, yep. All right. No problem. Okay, now just so you know. Oh, you think this is funny? What's going on? Is that a real person? Oh, is that your... No? Okay. So, all right, now, so are these actual slides now? No, it's not. Those are the top pictures. All pictures are in there. Oh. Okay, I'm getting it now. Okay. All right, so that's our time in Israel. Thanks for coming, everybody. Okay, I see the security set and the end set, but I don't see the beginning pictures. Yeah, these guys, I must have sent something wrong in the emails, but so Chris and Amber, I've told you this before, but I was praying that the Lord would raise up volunteers for Israel. And at my home church, we've had lots of people from our church go to Israel, and a lot of our church have served for 3 months at a time as volunteers at Misgav Am, not during wartime. And as I looked out over the body one time, it's like I was praying for this fresh work, and I knew that we needed volunteers, and I was praying for I was being very specific about what I wanted, asking the Lord, and I looked out over the congregation, and I said, Father, they're not here. And then, like the next week, these guys showed up. So Chris and Amber, how the Lord has raised you up. First, I just want to point out that Chris was a Marine. He was a tank commander many years ago. And and he also has, professionally, he's also a paramedic. And Amber is a nurse, okay? So these guys are medical professionals, and they've been through the stuff of life like many of us have, the hard things that, that really alter us as adults. But they have gone, and they have had the best attitude, mostly, and they are a very specific answer to prayer. So, guys, I just want to turn it over to you. The pictures, the slides, they're not exactly happening the way I envisioned. So based off this one picture.
It looks like I do not have collection 1 or 2. I only have collection 3 and 4.
Okay.
I have picture 1, picture 2.
Okay.
Those 2 collections.
All right. I'll see if I could get if I can go online while these guys talk. But the stuff that you guys do in Israel, your initial. I mean, these guys, most of them know you. Okay, but you have facilitated a lot of special gifts, and you've brought a certain dynamic to the kibbutz, which is not on the kibbutz, but it's at Selina. So tell us about what's going on there.
I need to talk louder. So this picture is our first night. 2 of them. Oh, that is better. So this is our first night or so arriving in Selina, and it's like going home. These are our family. We love them. And people are like, don't you know there's a war going on? What are you doing here? And we're like, we love you. We're here to be here for you, to be a shoulder to cry on, to give you hugs when you need them, to walk through the hard times together, and to celebrate things. Even though we're not home in Misgav Am, we made Selina as home as it could be. So we made it. And it's a very sweet homecoming.
Just for you to know, we tried to convince them not to come. We tried harder, but when they explain us why they want to come, to be with us, not just to do things, it's an important factor, but just to be with us. So from the moment that they arrived, we felt like, okay, we are much better. Yeah, we are not alone. So because we knew that they have you behind them. So thank you so much.
Yeah, a lot of people would ask, what are you doing here? What do you do? And sometimes we just be. We don't do. We be. We be friends. We be family. We be support. We love, encourage.
What are some of the things that you guys have? There's the barbecue, the coffee machine, the medical bags, other things. Glasses.
So some of the things that we do or did while we were there, we did have slides for all these. Zechariah's Hope was able to help sponsor several families who lost or had to leave without their glasses, their reading glasses or prescription glasses. And so a local optician, we were near Tiberias, decided to hold clinics for refugees to come and get new glasses at a very, very, very reasonable rate. And thanks to blessings and donations that had come in, we were able to help provide those glasses. Additionally, we got there and we're like, all right, Misgav Am is so special. It's not like all the other kibbutzim in the fact that it's very close-knit community. In seeing them, only part of them were at this hotel, Selina, part of them were at other hotels or kibbutzim or family. And one thing that we felt was the need to bring them together, a new closeness that they weren't experiencing. One thing they were experiencing was they could only eat meat once a day, provided usually lunch, unless it's Shabbat, and then it was dinner. And so we said, well, let's have barbecue. We're on a beach. We found some amazing barbecues that are also pit fires, fire pits, and smokeless. And Zechariah's Hope would buy a ton of red meat, steak, and we'd meet on the beach. All was invited, and we'd have a fire, barbecue, visit, talk, laugh. And so many times we heard people say, this is the best time we've had in a long time. You know, since before the war, we have not felt this joy and this togetherness. And
When you say that you were on the beach, what beach was that?
the Sea of Galilee,
Yeah.
right on the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that Chris and Amber are very humble people, and they're trying hard to say all the things that they've did in Israel for us, but it's hard for them to say that. When you are doing something from your heart, it's like you're doing something that you are not even think about it, so that's why I think that it's so hard for you. But I can tell you from our point of view, after October 7, after everything that happened to our nation on October 7, everyone was in shock. Not only in shock, also a lot of people were in fear. A lot of people were, needed a big hug and needed to feel that it's someone there for us. And we had to leave our home very quickly. And in the beginning, we've said that it will be like for 2 weeks. It was in the middle of the summer, very hot outside, very, summer in Israel. So what are you taking with you for 2 weeks? Few things, few shorts, few T-shirts, and that's it. So when we discovered that it's not only for 2 weeks, it will be like for a month. And after that, they said, no, it's another month, and probably we'll be here until December. And after that, they said, no, probably it will be, we don't know. All the community, after all the atrocities, sorry, my English is not very Cambridge, but we felt, and we usually are feeling, that we are not people that we are loved. And that's why when someone is coming to us and they're there with us in hard times, we are like, what are you doing here? It's not a question that it's, what are you doing here? It's like, why in the world someone wants to be with us in those times when we are mentally under the ground, not on the ground? And those people came, and they show us so much love, and smiles, and hugs, and you need this, and you need that. And I'm telling to everyone that if it's something special about Z-Hope, it's that Z-Hope is touching actually people. There are big organizations that are donating money and they are doing everything, but you don't feel, like me as an Israeli, you don't feel those people. You see the products, you see the things, but you don't feel the people. Z-Hope is there with us. And not only with Misgav Am, with all the communities in the north, with all the people that are meeting. Doesn't matter if they're communities or soldiers in the checkposts or wherever, grocery stores. They know how to show love, and they are there for us. And that's why for us it was very weird. Because again, we are not people that we are used to be loved. We are used to be hated by everyone. And that's why for us being here and to having them there, it was a big privilege and something that we weren't able to imagine before. Are the pictures?
No problem.
Okay, so after we arrived at Selina as refugees in our own country, and we arrived at this small hotel, we discovered that this small hotel doesn't have anything, not even an emergency kit. So when those guys came, I was like, okay, I have a paramedic, and I have a nurse, and I have people, and I have children, and everyone was sick. I don't know how to explain that, but everyone from the community was sick. Everyone reached at least once at the hospital. The condition was not so great. So I was like, okay, we have the team, we have the people, but we miss the equipment. And then I spoke with Chris, and I was like, Chris, what do we need here to give like care, medical care for the people that we have here? I know that you are not licensed to work in Israel, but it's war. Nobody cares. If I have wounded people on the ground, I don't care if you have a license in Israel or don't. What do you need to do your job? And then he said to me,
So as soon as we decided what we needed, he made one phone call, and the next day I had 2 BLS bags and 1 ALS bag, basic life support and advanced life support. So these 3 bags had oxygen bottles, they had bandages, gauze, stuff to stop bleeding, and then the ALS bag ended up having ET tubes, so we could breathe for people, take over breathing in the event of a really bad
those are the bags.
situation. We had ways to decompress lungs. We have IVs. We have bags of fluids, tourniquets, stuff like that. So we carried one of these bags with us everywhere we went after we got it. And another reason why we got these is because after a couple weeks in Israel, had the experience of a 30 rocket barrage landing about 200 yards from us, maybe less than that. It was pretty crazy. This is the only time in Israel that I felt like my life was like before my eyes. And I'm trying to record this on the phone, and I double tap it, I think, and go to review it afterwards, and there's nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is my chance. So, that's the main reason why we got those. And to be able to protect other people while we're in that situation, to save somebody's life in a wartime, it would be amazing. So we have the knowledge, and now we have the equipment, and thank you all for that.
It wasn't cheap equipment,
Yeah.
but you have to understand that also we had no protection there at Selina. Selina is the name of the hotel. It's like a motel that you have your room, but then immediately after your door you are getting outside. And we had to build our new home in that place. And luckily we are a kibbutz, and the kibbutz is a big community, a big strong community that we know how to work together, to do stuff together. So immediately after we arrived there and we understood that we have to be there, we understood that also we have our children with us, and they need school and they need kindergartens, and we don't have those kind of things. So with their help, and Pastor Carl was still there, we started to build those tents, big tents, for our children to have a school or a kindergarten, to continue their study, to continue their life as children. But we didn't have any options to protect them. That means there is no bomb shelter, there is no nothing. We are hearing the rockets, we are having the alarms, we are hearing everything, but we have no protection. So we've brought those big bags of sand and we put it next to the tent that was like the school tent to have like kind of protection for the children if a rocket will land, or we will have rockets landing on our area. So actually the children were having those exercising for going from the tent, entering in that small area, a little bit bigger than the stage, that was protected with big sandbags, but no roof, no nothing. And they knew that they have to lie down there, put their hands over their heads, and to pray. So putting all those things together, this medical kit that we had there, that was our big hope that if something will happen, we'll have also the possibility, because we had personnel, also to do something for our community, to protect our community from these kind of things.
Hey guys, I just want to point out that Misgav Am has a reputation now, especially, for being a very cohesive, tight-knit kibbutz. There's about 350 people that live on the border at Kibbutz Misgav Am, and these are people that have known each other for years and years and years. They know everybody's kids, little kids, and so when, as a group, they were moved by the government off of the border, off of their home, and then brought down to this hotel, which I believe wasn't functional before the government. And it was a place that really needed work. And people were moved by the government to all these other hotels all over. And you kind of had the feeling like affluent neighborhoods were moved to like affluent hotels. You know, like there was that big glorious hotel next to us, you know, at Magdala. And that place was posh. And just the way it worked out, Misgav Am, we got a place where there was some black mold inside a lot of rooms, some water flowing through the roof, through the ceiling in a few rooms. And a lot of people had dry rooms. When I stayed there, my room was dry, and I didn't have mold. But others were not so fortunate. And then what the Israelis did, what Buddy described is, the Israelis are amazing when like a week or two goes by and they go, our kids need education. So they will find a classroom, we will make a classroom, we will get a tent, or we will find a building, or and so that their kids could keep going to school. And all these parents on the kibbutz, remember, everybody's been through the Israeli Defense Forces. I mean, 90+%. It's just normal for everybody to be like a veteran in that regard. But these people also, they click into overdrive regarding kids workers, kindergarten teachers, grammar school teachers, and they get all this, they get things moving, and they get themselves organized. It's really, really admirable. And but what Buddy was describing is they had this one big tent that they were functioning as a classroom for the kids, and then right next to that they had those, like a horseshoe-shaped or a square-shaped stack of, those things like dividers that we would use for the freeway, like those temporary moving cement ones. Well, big block-type things. And could you imagine your kids? I mean, I have kids, they're all grown up now, mostly. And imagine your kids were like, okay, you're going to go to school in the tent, but if the sirens go off, our whole community has one shelter that's outside by the entrance to the hotel, but you guys, you don't go there. You go to this walled-in little thing, this walled in about the size of maybe half of the seating area over here. You go in there and you pray for the best, okay?
And you have 15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds is basically what they see is the time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to click back into some of these photos.
Which one are you looking for?
I'm looking for this first set. Okay, looks like, yeah, you can let me do that now. Okay, thank you so much. So this is the color blue, and but Chris and Amber, could you describe what's going on in this picture?
So first, the sandbags you can see in the top corner. That's where the kids run behind those stacks. So this is our first barbecue together, our first gathering, and not everybody had come yet. We're just like, we're going to be there for hours, just show up. And we'll be cooking, and Buddy actually did all the cooking that night and slice up steaks and just pass around the plate. Everyone just takes bites of steak as it pass around and visit and laugh and fellowship and tell stories and forget that you're in a war zone for a while.
Yeah. Okay, let me point out that, just that I think it was your guys' idea to get these barbecue things. And so what the way it works is when Chris and I and Amber are there together, when I'm there while they're there, we meet, we have these breakfasts, the breakfast is served. You can't have breakfast when you want. You have to go to the cafeteria. And so people can't really cook for themselves. That's huge. That's a lot of liberty we enjoy, with our own kitchens and our own schedules. But Chris and Amber and I, we would sit down by the shores of the Sea of Galilee, and we never forget how awesome it is that we're there. It doesn't get old. We're always excited about Jesus, that he walked on these waters. He engaged Peter and the guys right here. He did all this. He traveled around. He went via boat Gadarene demoniac across the water. Magdala, right, our next door neighbor, where he met and liberated Mary Magdalene from her demonic possession, and she became part of his troop. That's right there. So it's never, ever lost on us. We never forget. So in that context, Buddy said it's the middle of summer. It was October. Baking hot, like we're just super hot, so it's like summer. And we would meet and we would pray. And we would seek the Lord. And that's why out of that, there comes the inspiration, I believe, to buy this little barbecue thing, okay? They wound up buying, and then they'll contact me and they'll say, can we do this? Can we do that? And I'll be like, that sounds great. And the Lord has richly blessed our fellowship and how it flows together. So they buy these things, and it facilitates a massive medium of love and interaction. And we're always talking about the Lord, and we're always engaging. And you see that there's a guy with darker skin than everybody else in the middle of the picture, and he's our Eritrean buddy. His wife's Eritrean, his kids are Eritrean, and his name is Sare. And I always mess up his name, but he knows and loves the Lord. Him and his wife walked from Eritrea through Sudan, through Egypt, to eventually make it to Israel, and those guys and the guys all around them, there's something. The war has brought us all massively closer together, radically, like not overnight, but in like 2 nights. We've all grown so richly closer, but the fellowship around that table, there are people that speak Ukrainian, speak Eritrean, obviously, speak Hebrew, speak English, speak Russian, speak Romanian, and praise God, most of them know English. But anyway, but these guys facilitate that. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go to the next one here. I'm going with my own massive power and control to the next slide. I am so good at this.
You have to understand that also to keep the community together, it's a very important thing. To keep the community as a community, that's a very big thing for us. And those small barbecues are so small, but they did so much good. They kept us together. They gave us the opportunity to feel normality, a little bit.
Okay, Natalie.
This is my joy. Yeah, begins to be a personal joy and becomes something, again, much bigger than myself and you, our friends. So we talked about that we didn't have control on what we are eating and when, but the most important thing was the coffee, of course. We Israelis love to drink coffee a lot, but needs to be a good coffee. So they came up with the idea, maybe we can purchase a coffee machine. So they did it. And from that day, I was so happy. And and not just me, and also all our friends, and not just our friends in that hotel area. We were also from Misgav Am and also from other kibbutzim and other towns. So they keep coming and, following the smell of the coffee. And we have the opportunity to meet them, to know them, and to bond with other people that otherwise we didn't have this opportunity. So yeah, we transform our area in front of our room in a coffee shop. Yeah, so was beautiful, just to have your tasty coffee and to bond with people and to hear them. almost every day somebody new was coming to sit with us and to share their needs, their sorrows, their hearts. Yeah, just to open the heart. It's not a trivial thing for an Israeli to open his heart. The Israelis are very, very warm people, but they are not opening their heart so easy. Just, okay.
Food helps.
You're wonderful. Their room, was it room 127?
127, yeah.
So did you call it cafe?
Yeah.
Cafe 127.
Yeah.
And now, there were all these people from Misgav Am displaced from the kibbutz, and then the government brought people from other communities, from different parts, from the south, from other areas that were displaced. And so, Buddy mentioned it, but it wasn't a hotel where you have like a carpeted hallway. It's the hotel where you step out your door and you're on a sidewalk outside. You step out your door. So there's this massive like grass courtyard, which you saw in the previous picture, a night picture. And but they had a breezeway between their apartment and their apartment. So they borrowed hotel furniture from other locations and made it into a massive living room and a place of a lot of lively conversation and fellowship. And you and I, we have beautiful coffee machines at home, right? We have them. We have coffee at our churches. We have coffee, little kiosks all over the place. And, it's amazing how many Americans spend just a lot of money every day on coffee. And so what these guys did is they served the coffee, and by God's grace, Zechariah's Hope was able to provide the coffee. We talked about the significant investment of that. And this picture, Chris and Amber or Natalie, what's going on here?
I haven't talked enough. It's your turn.
I think this looks like we're watching you on church online.
This is church.
This is church. One of the nights where we sit out, where we drink coffee, and we sit there and listen to you teach the word. This was probably the first night, because there's only 3 of us. But okay, 4 of us. But after a while, people start hearing Carl's voice because they know Carl, and they'll come and sit down. And they might not watch it, but they'll listen. And that's saying a lot. It's God's moving there, and this is why we're there. It's to be present with the Lord, showing how we're different, loving on these people, caring for these people, and making them curious, and being about our Father's business. And this is what this is all about.
Hey, guys.
Oh. Yeah.
But I just want to point out, you see, Natalie has a gray ceramic vest on. Chris has a black Kevlar ceramic vest on, and just they're unloading. See, these guys would call and they would say, we have the opportunity to do something else, to provide something else the security team needs. And we would talk about it, we would pray over it, and make these decisions often, together and just offering it up to the Lord. But they're delivering all these jackets for the security team. There's between 15 and 20 guys serving up at Misgav Am. Misgav Am currently is 40 minutes north of where these guys are located on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. And to drive up there, you have to drive through this largely evacuated city named Kibbutz, and that is often rocketed. And I have on my phone this app called Red Alert. There's been how many alerts in the past 24 hours or so?
Yesterday were 726 alerts.
Okay, so and that's not a rocket, that's an attack that could include, like Chris mentioned earlier, a barrage. So when these guys would drive up to their home kibbutz of Misgav Am, they have to drive through a couple of checkpoints, which is, this is all normal, and they also have to be ready. As Chris described earlier, they were on one trip, and you're in communication with the military or the security team or the soldiers where you're going, and they say, hold on a second, or this or that, or an alarm goes off, And then that barrage that these guys experienced, they got to go to an underground garage under this giant supermarket, and but it had open walls, right? And that's why they could observe and feel. You know, when I showed you pictures of we're sitting around the fire or sitting around at night, you know, there's a lot of times, often, when you could feel the rumble through the earth of the artillery that Israel would use against, you know, the enemy rocket launch areas. But so when they would go up to the kibbutz, they would have to coordinate with communication and then go up there and really pray, you know, because they go up through several checkpoints, and this is where a lot of things happen. And so for them to go up there, they're obviously there during the day, they're praying, but if the sirens went off, they would have to run into the shelter where all our friends are serving, where the guys are still doing their thing. Okay, you guys, this was all you, this is after I left, so what happened here?
Yep. This is the glasses. So they provided the frames. People could just walk through, pick out whatever frames they want, and then they could get an eye exam, hand them the frames, pay for them, and then they came back in 2 weeks or so, the glasses. And there's Buddy getting an eye exam. And so it just felt right that we could help the blind see, is what kept coming through my mind. Is, okay, we're helping the blind see. We're helping in a way that big organizations aren't able to. We find out somebody's personal needs. We find out intimate details of what they're really lacking, and having the privilege of being there to be able to try to find and meet those, it just fills our hearts. Through all these conversations that we had, yeah, I'm going there, around the fire, around coffee in the evening, a lot of gospel conversations would happen. And mostly they're asking us questions on what we believe and why we believe and how it's different. Never in a pushy way. It's always, we're just answering questions. Well, that led to several requests for New Testament Bibles. I'm looking to shove them in people's hands, but I had people asking me if I could get them a New Testament Bible written in Hebrew. It's not easy. And so this is, I don't remember her name, but her husband's name is Chaim. They're from the Bible Society. And regardless of how many searches we did or traveling to different stores, we could not find them. And the Lord led us to Chaim, and they're part of a Bible Society in Israel, and were able to not just give us the 5 or so Bibles to fill requests, but they gave us a box of beautiful leather-bound, beautiful script, Hebrew, New Testament Bibles.
Yeah.
And so homes that never had Bibles, people that never had questions, that didn't discuss Yeshua, now have the word in their homes.
Yeah. And we know that there's total, yeah, this is glorious. You see, I want to say that it seems like all the cool stuff really happens when I'm not there. No, I'm just kidding, because I just so love how the Lord uses these guys, but it's through conversation. And in conversation, I remember months ago talking to Chris and Amber and say, hey, look, you know, it's not like the States. It's not like Guatemala. It's not like Mexico. It's not like Russia. It's not like India. It's not like all the other places that we do, quote unquote, missions. We don't use that word ever. We're there to love and serve and bless the people of Israel. Conversations come up invariably, but then after a long and just a conversation, you know, not an argument, not a prove a point, not a trick you into, you know, saying ha ha, no, nothing, but just a just natural conversation. When somebody says, well, you know what, I want one of those Bibles for myself, that's huge. And God has blessed Zechariah's Hope with a lot of really good connections. And we've got tons of connections. And we love working with sweet, humble people. And that's who the Lord gives us, right? So the Lord worked it out. She said the Lord led them. And these people showed up. And these Bibles are beautiful. They're really sweet. Hebrew on one side, English on the other. Super cool. I'm going to go to the next set of slides at this point. Okay. Okay. One. Okay. Let me just. You want to say something? Okay. This is where the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds of young people were murdered when Hamas came in on those gliders, those paragliders, and they landed on the ground, and then they came riding in, and hundreds were killed, and a lot of first responders went. You see that lady in uniform with a patch on her arm? A lot of police, a lot of medics, a lot of soldiers rushed into the fray, and in doing so, they lost their lives as well. And so there's a memorial there. And while we were visiting, and remember, we took a little road trip. On my last trip, which I think was February, right? We all went down, and we wound up driving, coming back to visit some locations right outside of Gaza where all the atrocities occurred. The various kibbutzim and this location of the Nova Music Festival. So we're just outside of Gaza, and we're touring this place, and there was an artillery just a few feet away, maybe some kind of motorized artillery, but they would go off every once in a while. But that picture represents all the lives that were taken by people that were satanically inspired to hurt Israel. These lives were taken, and they are people's sons and daughters, wives, mothers, husbands, fathers, precious people. And we want to definitely identify. We want to sorrow with Israel. We want to show them support. We believe that for this and for all the other things that have happened, but also the authority of God's word, we stand with Israel. And we want to do things that really demonstrate. These are buildings that were burned. Was this Kfar Aza or Be'eri? Okay, so we did not want to go in with our vehicle because we yeah. And do you want to describe how we didn't want to go in, or what was going on there that day?
It's hard for me to talk about October 7th, but October 7th was the most cruel attack that I think we knew on the modern history. You saw all those faces on the previous picture with the people that were killed only there on the music festival, and you have to understand that everyone in Israel lost someone in October 7. A friend, a relative, someone even closer, I don't know, but everyone lost someone in October 7. We didn't understand what is happening in the beginning. People rushed to help because this is the Israeli way. When one of us is in need, all of us will go there to help. So they came, as you said, but they came also dressed as soldiers, Israeli soldiers. They came dressed as a medical team. They came dressed they came also with journalists. So imagine that you are in that place, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, after a big party, suddenly you have the rockets alarm, and you are thinking, okay, rockets are coming, but they are not rockets, those are terrorists, and they are coming from every direction, and everyone is running in every direction. And I heard story from my friends that they went there to help people, to get people out from that place, and it was this guy that was driving his truck, and suddenly he saw in the middle of the road a soldier next to a car, next to a wounded person. And he was sure that it's one of our soldiers taking care of one of the wounded. So he stopped his car, he opened the door, and he asked, "Do you need help? What's happening?" in Hebrew. And the guy looked at him, and the guy was actually a terrorist killing one of the people. So the guy, I don't know how he understood it. Something is wrong, because both of them were like in a shock. This is from what was happening over there. So he ran away from here. The guy succeeded to help and to take out dozens of people from that place, to save dozens of lives. But you have to imagine the confusion and everything that was happening there. Nobody knew anything. So from that point, from that party, they went to the next kibbutz that is very close. It's like 3 minutes driving from this place. So they enter inside the kibbutz, they enter inside the houses, they start to search for people. Now we have most of the people that are living on the border with Gaza or with Lebanon, we have bomb shelters. But those bomb shelters are made to protect us from bombs. So when people, 6 o'clock in the morning, holiday, Saturday, it's like Sunday here. So 6 o'clock in the morning, when people heard the red alert, the app that you said, and they heard the sirens outside, and their instinct is to go in that place to be safe. But the terrorists enter inside the kibbutzim. They start to search inside the houses for people just to kill. Not for any other reason, just to kill everyone. Doesn't matter if it's a woman, man, old people, young people, children, infants, pets. Everything has to die. So in the places where people somehow they succeed to block the door of their bomb shelter, they said, okay, we cannot take you outside, we will burn you inside. So this is what they did, and those are the houses that you are seeing here that are burned houses, where actually they couldn't reach the people inside the bomb shelter, so they decided to burn the house with the people inside. So when we get there, the army was in December? Okay. The army was still working on those houses to clean and to understand exactly what is happening. You have to understand that also for us, for the Jewish people, the respect for the dead people, it's a very big thing. So they have to take every piece of left remains and to burn them. So the people, the army were still in December working on those houses to clean them. Not to make cleaning, but you understand me.
Yeah, we were there, I think, maybe at the end of January or something like that. We went on our little road trip. So, like Buddy described, and when he said about gathering little specific remains, if you remember, you see this in the Word of God, when Saul and his sons were mutilated by the Philistines, and their decapitated bodies were hung on the walls of Beth-shan. The men of Jabesh Gilead, they marched all night. These were Israeli-style soldier guys, and they gathered their bodies, they collected their bodies, treated them with great love and respect. And then, and when a body would be most savagely destroyed or mutilated, that's when they would burn someone's remains, when things were mutilated. And then, of course, even after that, they would treat their bones with respect, and they would try to inter them with honor and respect. But this happened on a tremendous level, on a huge level, and like these guys described, they were dark, heavy days. And I was driving all around the country at the time, procuring items and meeting people and doing things. And there were funerals all over the place. Everybody knew somebody. Nobody was untouched by the size of the country. Because what's the population? 8 million now?
By the way, do you know how many Jews are all over the world? Give me a number. Anyone? 15 million, yes. 50 million globally. Between 6 and 7 million only in Israel. We are a small nation. We know everyone.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to the next set of slides at this time. There's another, let's see. Nope, that's not the one. This one. Buddy, this is the early days of, this is right when we started, when the kibbutz was almost evacuated, or right when the kibbutz was evacuating. Can you?
So, yes. As you said before that, the October 7 happened in the south, but was supposed to happen in the north, or north and south together. I don't know who to call it, if we were lucky, but was only on the south part. And we in the north, we knew immediately that this thing will happen, or something will happen also in the north. That's why on the evening of October 7, we were like already in state of war inside the kibbutz. Now, I have to point to make a little something to clarify something. We are always using the term security team, and I don't know how many of you guys are understanding exactly what is the security team, and why like people are like supposed to be army, and security needs all the help with the vest and all this equipment. The security teams in the small communities like our kibbutz that are living on the borders are actually people that are locals, people that are living inside that community, that kibbutz or small village. And as you've said, everyone in Israel has a military background, and some of the people are volunteering to be part of this security team. That means that in normal times, peaceful times, they have their jobs and they're going to their jobs and everything. But if something is happening, they are the one that are supposed to protect the community before the army, before the police, before everything else. Sometimes there are times when we are alone. We have no one. So yes, they have like a military uniform, because they have to be recognized by the military that are part of the security team, and they have a semi-automatic weapon provided by the IDF, but that's it. Okay? So that's why we needed all your help getting those guys well equipped, because they are the front line. Actually the front line. As has happened also in the Gaza Strip, there were places where people were calling the police and the emergency, and they were saying, we are hurt, we have people wounded, we need help, and the answer was, sorry, we cannot send anyone there. And that's why those guys they left everything behind. They were people that were able to say, okay, I don't care, I will go with my family and I will leave my house and I will be a refugee like anyone else, and that's it. But no, there are people that are really loving the community, are really loving the place, and they're willing to die for this place and for this community. And that's why we as a community, we need to provide them with everything that we can. And that's why you are seeing people trying to feed soldiers in Israel. There were people that were asking me, why do you need to feed soldiers? Why? The army is not providing food? Yes, the army is providing food. But on October 7 in the morning, there were like 150,000 soldiers. In the evening of October 7, there were 350 soldiers, because everyone was called. Now, when I say everyone was called, there were like people. Some of them didn't receive even the call or something from the military. They just grabbed their stuff and they went through their reserve units, took whatever they could, jump on their tanks or the vehicles, and they start to ride to the north, to the south. It depends where they were sent, but no any preparation at all. And when you have people in the army, because it's a national army, it's our people, it's the people's army, and when you have your daughters and your sisters, brothers, husbands, you want them to have like good food. So it doesn't matter if they are receiving any food. You want them to have a hot meal. You want to be sure that they have a hot meal and something to eat properly. You know that they don't have a place to stay. They are sleeping outside. They are sleeping inside their tanks and everything. But at least this is the thing that you can do. And that's why you will see all the people in Israel trying to feed the soldiers somehow to get them fat.
Yeah. In this picture, I just want to point out, because this is very relevant for all you guys and gals, but I see electricians, I see construction guys, I see a welder, I see computer guys, I see a refrigeration or air conditioning specialist. What?
A vet?
A veterinarian?
No, like doctor? Vet?
A vet? Who's the vet?
Alex.
Alex is a vet?
Yeah.
I couldn't see. I thought that was Alex, but I didn't know Alex was a veterinarian.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So, but everybody knows these kids. I mean, they're kids. These guys are in there are some young guys that are in their 20s, not in this picture, but everybody else is 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And their kids have already served and gone out of the IDF, or maybe they are currently in the IDF. So these guys are stepping up to the plate, doing their thing, protecting their home community, and at the same time, the kibbutz gets flooded with a lot of service members, active duty IDF guys, Israeli Defense Forces, and guys and gals. And I remember on one. Delivering food, and we came up to some apartment buildings, and basically there was that cluster, one of the clusters just up past in front of the supermarket, and we come to deliver the food, and a bunch of guys and gals, and these gals, they had jobs all over the country. They've got families, they've got their flak vests on, and not everybody has good ceramic vests or Kevlar. They might have like an old school flak vest, and they're there ready to defend the country. And then we drove up a little farther to an area right in front of their home. Okay, their home is vacated, and it's glutted with all these soldiers. And right there, not a few feet away, but right there, that is the front line between our kibbutz and Hezbollah from Lebanon. You take a few steps out further and you're exposed. Like our place, where we have our prayer amphitheater, you can't go there now. You can't go there now. But our friends are always happy to point out that our American flag is still flying over our prayer site. So, but we're going to go to let's see, this next set. Do you guys have anything to add about these precious guys?
I have, those are my brothers. Those are my family. Those guys are protecting the kibbutz. Also, the last picture that you can go back. They are like not only protecting the kibbutz from enemy entrance or infiltration or rockets or things like this, but also there are fires over there. There are firefighting. They are doing everything to keep the kibbutz safe and to keep. You can see this here that they are trying to put down a fire that was from one of the rockets inside the kibbutz. So they are trying to do everything to protect our home. And when I say they are trying to protect our home, it's weird that I'm saying this because Kibbutz Misgav Am, it's 78 years old. Before the state of it was made before the state of Israel. That means that Kibbutz Misgav Am knew every war that was in Israel since the independence war till now. But this war is different because this is the first time when we had to leave our kibbutz behind. All the other wars, we were there. We know how to deal with rockets. We know how to protect our borders. But what happened on October 7 was different. We understood that we are not prepared for that. and life it's more important than anything else. So we have to take a step back because we knew and we know all the tunnels that they've built to attack us. We know them, we can see them with our naked eye. We saw them before October 7 in July. When you were there, we saw them bringing this big excavator, like we were here and they were with the excavator exactly where the guys are in the booth over there. And they were putting this guy on the bucket of the excavator, take him up with the excavator to take pictures of us because they were a little bit lower than us. So we knew that they are preparing something. They are taking pictures because they want to know how the place is looking. They want to know how to go, where to go, how the things are looking inside. And they had even the guts to tell us to move from the picture. We were bothering them in the pictures. They were signing to Chris and Amber to move. You can understand what nerve they have. We have people that they died in the kibbutz, and we were not able to, not in the kibbutz, that they've died in this period of time. In these 6 months, we have 3 people that they passed away, and we are not able even to bury them inside the kibbutz. When we will go back, we have to bring back also them.
You know, very, very touching. But when regarding what Buddy just described, there was this precious family right when the war started, right October 7th, October 8th. But this precious mother with little kids passed away from cancer. And I remember that the kibbutz has their own cemetery, right? That I've been to a funeral or 2 there over the years, and everybody comes. It's normal for everybody to come, pretty much everybody from the kibbutz, and but it's in a dangerous spot in relation to Lebanon. There's some trees, but there's a little bit of exposure, but there's trees, and it was just all the security team and myself and the family that were at this last one. And I remember standing where there was, you know, I could still look through the trees and see Lebanon, and my security friend guys said, Carl, we need you to stand more over here because it's just too much visibility. And but it's important for the friends that have passed away during this time, the kibbutz members, that when it's safe, to bring their bodies, to bring their remains, and have them interred in the kibbutz cemetery. So it's you know, and just so you know, when somebody dies in Israel, usually they get buried the same day. That's tradition, right? Let me just point out about this is that there are people here at this church. I made it known that we needed special protective vests for guys that are really big, bigger than everybody else. And I found some online, and my plan was to smuggle them into Israel. But you can't call it smuggling when everybody already knows what you're doing, you know. It's got to be a secret. So anyway, they interrogated me endlessly at the airport, but we got them in, and I think that these guys, when they dress up for Purim, they could go as like Ninja Turtles, maybe. But these are our special friends, and but see, not only are they grateful that they have these special protective vests, their wives and kids are hugely grateful, hugely, seriously thankful. So this is a special. I skipped the video where Alex on the right, he gave a little speech, but they're very, very grateful. They're very thankful for what they have received, and I make it known that it's from the guys and gals at Cottage Grove. So
It's like a bulletproof hug.
What?
It's like a bulletproof hug.
A bulletproof hug, yeah. All right.
I just want to add something about those 2 guys. You see them fighting for and being there to protect our kibbutz and our house, but their children are fighting in Gaza in the same time. Also, Amir's daughter in the left and Alex on the right, both of their children Alex's son and Amir's daughter, they're in Gaza trying to protect our country during the time when their parents are trying to protect their home.
And so please, when I ask you to pray, I ask that you not just not casual pray. Go to your knees in private. Go to your secret place and pray with intentionality, focus, and zeal. With passion. Pray for these guys. Pray for their daughters. Pray for all the security teams. And please pray also for what's next. But if I could put anything on the list, I would really put the protection of their kids as they're fighting, as they're suited up. They're suited up all the way, and they're in the thick of it, okay? They're really doing stuff. They're in harm's way. And we know them, they're not statistics far away. They're precious. They're just like your sons and daughters, So that's the deal about Israel. We have such a sense of family. Hey, guys, I'm going to talk about what's next. You guys have anything you want to just let me know if there's something you want to. I don't want to skip it. Okay.
I don't know how we are with the time.
I don't know. We're going to take a break and do another 2 hours in a minute, okay? But no, I don't know. You guys okay? Okay, they're good, because that was the only right answer, okay? Because I can't hear other answers than that. Okay.
If you allow me, I want to say a few more things.
Absolutely.
One more thing. I want to talk about yesterday. Yesterday was a very tough day for Israel. After October 7, I think it was the toughest day that we had in Israel, and it was yesterday. Everyone, that Israel was attacked by Iran and everything, and I'm not talking now about how many drones and how many rockets. I want to talk about the people inside Israel. I want to say that me here, starting from yesterday morning till around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, I was on the phone all the time. And I was on the phone with my daughters. My daughters are almost 22 and 20 years old. They are both learning in the university. Their university, it's in a place that it's called Ariel. It's in the West Bank. Not a very safe place usually, but this is what they choose to. This is the place that they choose to go to learn. So when I saw in the media, and I have to be thankful to the Israeli government that they decided to be very transparent about yesterday. We knew exactly what is happening, and I was able here to know exactly what is happening. So I was able to call my daughters, be on the phone with them, preparing them, and support them. One of them was in Tel Aviv with her boyfriend. The other one was alone at the university. So I was with them on the phone, and with the youngest one, her name is Yasmin, I prepared her for everything, and I was telling her, look, I think that they will target the south, and they will target, I don't think that Ariel, because it's in the West Bank, I don't think that it will be a target. So you have to do this and this and that and this, but I don't think that it will be necessary. So suddenly, after 20 minutes after I hang up with her, the rockets started, and the alarm started to be. And the first one was on the south, and I was like, oh, I was right. And the second one was on the south, and there was, oh, I was right. And the third one, I'm looking at the screen, and I'm seeing that it's actually the place where her university is. So immediately I called her, and she was in the middle of the alarm, and she was a little bit scared and everything. And I tried to calm her down and to tell her what to do, to be there with her. So I was with her during all the attack, with her on the telephone. She doesn't have any safe room. The only safe room, the only safe place for her was to be on the stairway. So in the end, I was like, okay, it's over. Now we can go back, and you were brave and everything. And I was trying to encourage her. And she told me something that, as a father, I was very touched, proud, but very hurt also. She told me, you know, sorry, I'm prepared for everything. I know that if something will happen, I am prepared for it. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die. The only thing that I'm afraid that they will take me or I will be injured by them. So I'll prefer to die. That was hard. So yeah, yesterday it was a tough day, but as you know, everyone was like, okay, except that little girl, 10 years old, that it's also a Bedouin girl. So you can see and understand that they don't care who they are killing, who they are hurting, if they are Jewish or not Jewish, Christians, Muslims, Bedouins. They want all of us dead. But this is what will bring us to be together, stronger than before. And we will survive this. With your help and your support and with your friendship. And you know, everyone was like, okay, you know why Iranians are very proud now? Because they made Israel spend almost $1 billion in protecting Israel yesterday. Protecting Israel yesterday, the cost were around $1 billion. But money is not important. Life is more important than that. And our enemies are not understanding that we are pressing life more than everything else. Our lives and also their lives. Yeah, I think I can.
We're going to do a question and answer if it's okay. And before we get into that, I just want to point out some things just right here. That's the Sea of Galilee in this picture. The X's on what will be your right, the big X on the far right, that's Capernaum. Okay, that's where Jesus did a lot of ministry, obviously. The X above it, I just put as a reference, would be the Sermon on the Mount. The X at the bottom of the screen, that's where the people are staying. It's called Hotel Selina Kinneret, okay? And Kibbutz Misgav Am is far to the north, 40 minutes to the north. Let's see if I could finally use my laser. No. Okay, but you see, way to the north is going to be Kibbutz Misgav Am. But right here, if I may, this location is where somebody else offered Zechariah's Hope land to build a teaching amphitheaters. And this is a new development, and so I want to bring teams, and I'm thinking about going, you know, it just depends, because yesterday changed things. But I want to go and build small teaching prayer site amphitheaters, a local land-owning, farming-minded tour guide said that we could build some stuff there and we could develop some things. And so, you know, the prayer site that we made at Misgav Am has all these scriptures, has all these signs, and it is a place for teaching and for prayer. And now this one overlooks the Sea of Galilee. This is the land. This is the land. You're looking over agricultural land here, and the Sea of Galilee is in the distance. It's literally a 1-minute drive away, the Sea of Galilee. And then the city of Tiberias is on those hills on the right. And we're looking at, if you've ever been there, Nof Ginesar is there. That's where they have the Jesus boat. 1 minute down the road from that is Magdala, or it's also called Migdal now. But this is where they offered us land, and this is where we could build some things on this hillside. I just don't ever hear that, you know, I'm a pastor of a small church in a small town, but it blows me away that people in Israel say, hey, you could have some land here, you could build something. We wouldn't own the land, but we could use it and develop it and use it for the Lord. I also would love to see like some bathrooms and yurts, and the Lord has provided this special guy. You know, he's just like a can-do guy. He's just like, no problem. And this other friend says, we'll have to get special permission. And my friend says, we already have it. It's no problem. And so it's just amazing what the Lord has given us, right? Also, we will have the opportunity to purchase olive trees. You could own your own olive tree. There's olive trees there. And that's something else that's going to develop. And then you will get olive oil and olives from your olive orchard area. We can't guarantee you get your own olive from your own tree, okay? So, but that's something that's developing. But right now, up at Kibbutz Misgav Am, we've purchased stuff for them. Vests, gloves, boots, other things to help them do their job, but also to know that they are really, really loved and supported. But now we want to do more for the two the communities right next to us. Margoliot, which is right totally next to, they both are, Margoliot and Menara. If you could remember these names and find them on Google Maps, see for yourself. And they have lost a few guys, and they have experienced some woundings and some injuries. And I want to send them gift cards. And there's about 16 to probably 20 guys on each security team. And the most practical thing that we could think of after we've talked and prayed is to send them substantial gift cards so that they could buy what they need, okay? And but as a token, as a demonstration of Christian support, we want to do that. As well as there's about 50 soldiers, guys and gals, that are connected with our Kibbutz Misgav Am. So now we're not talking about the security team. We're talking about IDF. We talked about somebody's sons and daughters fighting in Gaza, husbands, boyfriends, all that kind of stuff, guys and gals. And there's about 50 of them. We want to do something for them too. And we could put together a little package. We could put together some kind of, something that will really help them, or we can give them gift cards. And so I don't ask that you would buy gift cards, because we would have to pick out the right ones that will work in Israel, obviously. But we want to give them gifts in the name of the Lord from Zechariah's Hope, and we want to impact them. And it's not just about, giving out money, but it's about showing support. It is quite literally totally putting our money where our mouth is, right? And we know what the Bible says. We know what's going to happen. We know what God said in the past, whether it be Genesis chapter 12 or the other place, Jeremiah chapter 31, about God's will and God's heart for Israel. But we know that the time is short, and we want to do more, okay? And we don't want to just kind of send it. We want to deliver it. That's what we do. It's all personal, okay? It's all on the basis of love and friendship. So that's what's next. So if you say, oh, I don't want to give a gift card, I want to go, great. Then we'll put together teams. If Russia and Iran fulfill Ezekiel 38 and 39, we might have to postpone that trip. Or we could be there for it. Where else would you rather see that go down? When some people go, you're crazy. Why would you want to go there? Me and those guys over on the end, they think, where else would you rather be? This is the place to be. But now, I want to stop talking about that, but I just want to give you a few minutes. I know we've been here a long time today. Please forgive us. It's just that we've got so much. Our tongues are the pens of a ready writer, right? And but you have Israelis. Not just any Israelis. My personal, close, and special friends. And from day one, I just knew that the Lord had given these guys to me to be my special friends. And if you have any questions about current events, about Israel, about this kind of stuff, you can ask them right now. Sure.
Hey, why does everyone stand real quick? Just stand. And If you need to go to the restroom, go ahead and do that now. And we just want to let you stretch out a little bit. And then hopefully you've some warned them last week to if you have some questions. And so let's go ahead and just stretch out a little bit. And then say in about 2 minutes, we'll get started, okay? So 2 minutes. longer than normal. I had a feeling it would be. And if you want to support the ministry of Zechariah's Hope, just put Z Hope in your memo and stick it in the offering box, and we'll get it to Carl promptly. And so, you guys, where's Carl at? You can pay online as well. Yep. So, well, I don't like hearing sirens here. Yeah. So. So did you guys appreciate that break a little bit? Yeah, that was good. I had a feeling. Carl, where are you? Buddy, if you're welcome to come up and, okay, we have a microphone. Natalie, let me get this microphone. And if you have a question for these two, please just stand and I'll bring this microphone to you. Anybody have any questions about?
I received a question before.
Yes.
About the morning of October 7. What happened there? How come that we were so unprepared? How come that we were so not ready for what happened on October 7 morning? And this is a tough question. I don't know if I have the answer. The thing it's under investigation, still under investigation, but what can I know from my knowledge? What can I say from my knowledge that before October 7, also in the north, also in the south, they've made those kind of exercises next to the border. I'm talking about Hamas and I'm talking about Hezbollah. And the girls with the cameras that are watching all the time the fans to see what is happening on the other side, they've said something is happening, something weird it's happening. They are like having those exercises and everything, and we, as a nation that we know, we are trying to be, in the eyes of the other nations, a good nation. Many of the answers for those girls were like, oh, they're having exercises, they can exercise. It's not something that it's like a threat. So it happened once, happened twice, happened 3 times. And in the morning of October 7, a lot of people saw those tractors that they came at the fence and they took the fence down and everything, and they are asking how was that possible. But before that, there were like small drones and shooting that they shot actually the cameras. And also this thing that are doing also in the north, when they are shooting something, Hezbollah, even until today, the first thing that they are shooting at, the rockets, is the cameras and all the equipment that we have for surveillance and for our eyes and ears. So this is the first thing that they did also in October 7 next to the fence where they try to, where they enter. Why the army wasn't there? That's a tough question, and I don't have actually the answer. I know that it was holiday, and there's a soldier and there's an officer. During the holidays, the army, it's like in the low personnel. It was also the end of the week, so we are trying to give our soldiers the time to spend with their families, their holidays. So many of them weren't there in the base. There are a lot of rumors that are saying, okay, but where was the Air Force? The Air Force was there. We know that they were there. But it was such a big, mess that actually the only ones that they acted as they were supposed to act, that was the police. The police, they were the only one, and the first one that they understood the size of this thing, and they were able to block the roads that they were going to Tel Aviv, because they were on their way to Tel Aviv. From Gaza to Tel Aviv, it's like 45 minutes drive, 50. So actually they were able to close the road and to keep everything that happened there in that area. More than that, I have no information, and I don't want to say things that are not true or I don't understand them till the end. The thing is still under investigation. We have, as Israelis, we have tons of questions about October 7 morning, but I don't have a right answer for you now, guys, more than that.
Can I ask, how well have you guys gotten to the tunnels there in the Gaza area? The tunnels that they used, or were there? Do they still have the people they kidnapped? Are they still there, or what's going on there? Have you guys found out anything?
Okay, about the kidnapped people, we don't have any information. But I want to say something about the people that were kidnapped on October 7. And people were kidnapped on October 7 also by Hamas as an organization, but also by common people. People that they went inside Israel with the wave, and it's like, okay, I will borrow you and I will take you home as a hostage. And one of the things that Hamas are saying to Israel now when they are negotiating, and by the way, today they said that they are not accepting any negotiations, so they, from their point of view, they are continuing the war. One of their thing is that we don't have the hostages. We don't know where they are. So when I'm watching the news and when I'm saying people are saying people in Gaza and people in the Palestinians are not related to Hamas, doesn't make sense. It's like, how can you not be related with Hamas when you are kidnapping people just for fun, to have them in your basement or I don't know where? To do with them what? When people were celebrating on the streets on October 7, and forget about October 7, who was the first one that was celebrating on the streets on 9/11? Do you remember that? Who were the first one that they said, it was us? They were. They have tunnels. They still have tunnels. We are discovered. We knew that they are having tunnels. We knew that there were like tons of tunnels, but we didn't understand how many and how long. And it's a very difficult task because all those tunnels are going from places that are like mosque or hospitals, schools, university, everything that can make us look bad in the eyes of the public, they are doing it. I don't know how many of you probably watched the news and you saw the humanitarian aid that is going inside Gaza now from our borders. And there are Hamas people that are like not letting the people to receive this humanitarian aid. They are shooting on them. When the IDF said to the Gazans, and I don't know any other army that are like flying all over the area and they are spreading those flyers and they are saying, look, at this date, at this hour, we will bomb here and here and here and here, don't be there. And still, if you watch the real news, you were able to see the Hamas keeping the people there, not letting them going to the south as the IDF requested. They've shot them on the roads and they were saying like, look what the IDF are doing. The IDF was trying to protect the convoys of refugees going to the south. But no one's saying that on the news. We were teaching the army to respect life. And I had a conversation with Chris a few days ago about this thing that we are trained to be human, not to be killing machines. We are ordinary people because it's an army of the people, so everyone has to serve. So we are ordinary people that are serving our army, serving our people, and we are not trained to kill. We are trained to protect ourselves. And even if there is I don't know how to explain this, to understand it, but even if there is a terrorist attack and there are Israeli wounded, and also the terrorist is wounded, when the medical team, the Israeli medical team, is arriving at the scene, if the terrorist is wounded more than the Israelis, they will take care of him first, because they have their how do you say when not the training, but also the training, but also the medical priorities and how is the oath that are the Hippocrates oath. Okay, so so they're going with that thing and not with the heart that you are saying, okay, you treat your own people first before that. I was once hospitalized and I had a surgery, and next to me in the same hospital, in the same room, was a terrorist. They took him to surgery first before me, and I was still in the army, I was still a major in the IDF. This is how we are trained. We are not trained to kill people. We are respecting life. We are respecting our neighbors. We want peace. We don't understand our neighbors that they are not letting us to live in peace. We didn't ask for anything. Just leave us alone. We will leave you alone. So I don't know how many tunnels are, but there are still tunnels in Gaza. It's still working Gaza. I think that the IDF, in my opinion, will go back in Gaza after Hamas says today that they don't reach any agreement. How the things will evolve with Lebanon and Iran, that's another question that I don't have the answers. But the war, it's only starting. It's not over.
Yeah, I just want to point out one thing about some of the things Buddy said regarding the value of human life that Israelis put on everyone. They put it all on all human life, right? But Israel has a hundreds of trucks of food and medical supplies going into Gaza. And they have to inspect them, obviously. They have to inspect them for any weapons, any danger, and to turn over so that they could turn over humanitarian aid, food, water, medical supplies to the Palestinian people, right? But it's the United Nations and other humanitarian organizations, they are not bringing them in fast enough. Israel has them backed up. There's hundreds. But they have to provide, Israel can't send in Jewish drivers because they would be murdered. They wouldn't be just murdered. They would be mutilated. They would be ripped apart. So they have to send in Arab drivers employed by other international aid organizations, and they still get attacked. Oftentimes their trucks destroyed. And then Hamas, the terrorist organization, commandeers the material. You know, they take control of the food. So I want to make that very clear. Israel is providing more than enough. They're not holding back. They're not blockading. They're not starving. The word blockade is a lie. It's never been blockaded. It has literally never been blockaded. Israel has always provided food, medical supplies, medical care, water, electricity, to the Gaza Strip. So the blockade thing, if you ever hear anybody say, oh, but Israel's blockading, they're starving, they're genociding, they're apartheiding, each one of those is an absolute lie. And so, last thing, and then a brother has a question over here. I'm not going to forget you, but please be wary of any Christian group in any way, to the smallest degree, that puts Israel in a negative light. Okay? That is serious. It's not a little thing. So I know Tucker Carlson had some guy on his interview the other day, and this was like a Palestinian Christian, and I have met many quote-unquote Palestinian or Arab Christians, and I've dealt with them, and what I have seen is good Christian churches or organizations from the United States fall prey to the deception remember that discernment is not the difference between right and wrong. Does anybody remember what it is? It's the discernment between right and almost right. Okay? And that's the way Satan does his tricks. Well, you.
My question was, I can talk. Okay. Yeah, my question was, since you guys are here and you're talking about all this coffee, who's running the cafe?
So, for the people that are watching us online, the question was, who's running the Coffee 127 now? We have good friends that are still there, still doing the job. I'm not saying that it's easy for us to be here. We are glad that we are here. We know that we are missed back home. We wish to be back home with our friends and families, and it's hard to be here when there is a war over there. But yes, we are not the only ones. We have friends that are still going, still having the meetings, still having the Coffee 127 going for the people. So yes, we are not there, but the coffee shop is working.
And I don't think I need a microphone, but I've watched, like probably a lot of people in the trust this from October 7th, and in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, why isn't anybody on? Why do not they not have access to firearms and ammo? The average citizen. You know, in America we have a Second Amendment. Is the Israeli government going to finally do something? Because you think from the days of the Holocaust to now that every Israeli citizen that wanted to be armed could be armed. And that's just a statement for me. I don't know if you've got the answer, but you know, that's what I see as an American sitting back here, knowing that if I was attacked, I would at least have a chance to defend myself. And you had innocent people over there with no firearms, and that was the result. So it's, I mean, you know, I don't know if you have an answer or not, but that's what me and probably millions of others think. Y'all should be armed.
If I'm jealous of you guys, I'm jealous that you have this right to own weapons. Okay? Like, we in Israel, if you are living in a kibbutz like ours or on the border somewhere, you are entitled to have a handgun, but only one. But seeing October 7, I've asked myself the same question: why we are not allowed to have proper guns, real guns, to protect ourselves? If we had those things, probably October 7 wasn't happening, not like that, probably in a different way, but not like that. I agree with you, and my only answer is politics. I have no other answer for that except politics. And you have to protect your right to own weapons. You have to do that. As an Israeli, I'm telling you, when I went in different houses and I saw all the weapons that you have here in the houses, I was like, oh my God. I wish that back home. So please do yourself a favor and protect that right that you have if you don't want to be in our place sometime. Yes.
May the peace of Jerusalem reside forever. And I pray daily, often, for you and your nation. And we love you and we stand with you. My heart is broken, and I want you to know that I thank you for coming and being a voice in a very difficult time of grief. Thank you.
We are thanking you. We are thanking you that you gave us the opportunity to be heard. And more than that, you gave us the opportunity to see all the love that you are giving to our people. Again, I'm saying we are not used to be loved. Usually when we are going abroad, people are saying, are you trying to hide that you are Jewish? Don't put your Star of David on your necklace or something. Try to not look Jewish. So yes, all over Europe and all over the world, we are used to hide that we are Jewish. We are used to be hate. We are used to receive all the blaming and all those things. We are not used to be loved. And when coming here, it was for the first time in my life when I felt like overwhelmed with your love and understanding. And I have no words to describe what it's in my heart being here with you guys. It's hard to be far away from home, but it's so good to be here with you also. Thank you.
I do have a question. Do you feel that the people, individual families, people's communities, that they are standing with the current government in support of the objectives that Benjamin Netanyahu has and the military to finish the job? Do you feel that the people in Israel are supporting that and wanting that?
People of Israel will not let Netanyahu not finish the job. As I've said, the army, it's an army of the people. We are representing the army, and of course, it's politics everywhere, especially in Israel. But all the politicians know that we want to go back home in a safe place. And even if it's not safe, give us the opportunity and the capabilities to protect ourselves. So all our politicians know they have to deal with this till the end. There is no other option. All the time, with all the wars that we had before, it was like, okay, now they are saying that it's peace and everything. It's not. We have to finish with this to the end because we don't have any other option. So our politicians are understanding this. The people of Israel want to finish this. October 7 was a big turn in our hearts, including me, including myself. I was like very pacifist and very understanding and very like, okay, you know, poor guys, poor girls, poor, but poor me. And I understand that you cannot make peace with someone that wants you dead with all price. And the only way that we can make something change is through education. And we are educating our children to be understanding and to be loving and to be also Israelis, you know, with the chutzpah. But the other side is not doing that. You can see what they are learning in their schools. I don't know if you saw in the media what they are having in their book schools and how they are learning math, counting bombs, rockets, martyrs, how many Jews you have to kill if you have only 3. This is how they are doing their math. What they're having in their ending of the year, school year, that all the plays that's all over the world are like funny and cute plays in the end of the year in schools and kindergarten. In their kindergarten and school, it's how we are going in to kill the Jews. So if they will not make a change in their way of thinking and educating their children, there is nothing else that can make a change, in my opinion. And as Golda Meir said, it will be peace. Doesn't matter what Golda Meir said. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You had a question. Yes, in Syria. Yes, that thing it's not over yet, but you are right. It started from the thing in Damascus where the Iranian general was killed, and that was their response. And it's like a ping pong game. Their response, our response, and who's have a bigger and better response. What was the beginning of the question? Sorry. Oh, people in Gaza. Yes. So as I've said earlier in what before the break, I don't see any difference between people of Gaza and Hamas, because you're right. They voted for them and they supported them and they led them to build all those things under schools, under hospitals. They knew that they are there. There were kidnapping people with the Hamas as private persons. I don't know how to call it. Okay. So yes, they have their supports. I'm not saying that 100%. No, there are people that are understanding, and I think that in their minds you can see a big difference between the people that were born before 2005 and those that were born after 2005. After Israel withdrew totally from the Gaza Strip, and when Hamas was voted as a political movement in Gaza, as a government in Gaza, because you can see the difference on the mentality of people that were living in Gaza with Jewish people, hating Jewish people, but the other mentality, and the people that were born in this situation of hate and everything, and since they were born in 2005 and until today, this is the only thing that they are hearing all the time. Kill the Jews, hate the Jews, kill the Jews, hate the Jews, to the river from the sea. That's only thing, and this is a generation that it's brainwashed, and it's very tough to deal with this thing and to change this thing. Exactly. I didn't want to say that.
You know, but Buddy just said, you know, he knows that about, you know, the factories that we call universities for this this woke thinking, right? But very expensive factories. But I want to point out something. This brother just talked about the quote unquote the Palestinian, and I say quote unquote because Palestinian is not a term that the Bible really honors, you know. But the point is, as a people group, the residents of the Gaza Strip, yes, they voted in Hamas. And they have become increasingly supportive with Hamas. So that there are many that are learning, just like Buddy said, is that Hamas and the residents of the Gaza Strip, all these quote-unquote, you know, civilians and families and workers, and they're indistinguishable. It is by far the vast majority of the Palestinians in Gaza support Hamas and what they did. Okay, so that's one big thing. Also, regarding statistics that we hear about the number of Palestinians that were killed in the Gaza Strip because of Israel reacting to, you know, doing what they needed to do. Please remember, it doesn't make any sense when we talk about aid workers or health statistics or health workers statistics coming from the Gaza Strip. That is Hamas. So when they say 30,000 people were killed, we can't trust that number. Just recently, there was an article in the past day or two where they said, well, actually, yeah, it was actually more like 11,000. And when it comes to when the United States invaded, say, like Iraq or Afghanistan, and we did incredible bombings, so many people, we had a 1-to-9 ratio of like civilians towards combatant. In other words, we would I'm sorry to say it, but in that war, 9 civilians would die for every 1 combatant that we killed in our wars. Israel has more like a 1 to 1 or less than 1. It is unprecedented, the lengths that the Israeli military go to protect civilian lives, even though those civilians are so largely supportive of Hamas. So I want us to stand up when we have relatives, when we have friends, when we go to our coffee shops. I want us to with the joy and the love of the Lord and the confidence that we should have from knowing the Lord and knowing the truth. When we're trained to be so humble, because we always are, we want to be humble. We think that being confident feels arrogant, but don't give in to that. That's a trick from the devil. Just be confident and stand up for Israel and say, well, hold on a second. 30,000 Palestinian civilians were not killed. 11,000 were killed. Israel, and stand up for Israel and say they do more to protect civilians' lives than any military in history. Speak up courteously, confidently, correct people, you know. And you could read about this stuff online, but you guys aren't deceived. You guys know the truth. But we want to spread the influence of the truth, okay?
And I have another thing about the numbers that you were saying, and I'm not talking about the numbers, 15, 20, 11, 30, but did you observe that in all those numbers, there is no number of Hamas fighters, Hamas military? Their numbers is only women, children, civilians. There is no number of how many actually military they've lost. And I will ask also you, maybe my mind it's working differently. But when you have a 14, 15 years old entering in this room and starting to shoot us, and someone will shoot him back, and he will kill him. How do you call that person? Will call him a terrorist or a child? Because many times you are hearing those things that we've killed so many children and children and children and children. I'm not saying that there are not accidents, unfortunately, where people, innocent people, are dying, and it breaks my heart to say that, but there are some accidents. I'm not saying there's not, but when you have, like a few weeks ago in the same day, it was a 12 years old shooting in Jerusalem, shooting a policeman with fireworks directly, and they return. It was also during the night, and they return fire, and they shoot that person, and they discovered it was a 12 years old. How can you, where are you putting this? You can put it in a child killing or a terrorist that was trying to harm soldiers, to harm people, and a terrorist. So it depends on how well they were saying, depends on the context. Yeah. Yes. In Israel. Muslim, Christians, Jewish people are living together in Israel most of the time in peace and harmony. Okay? Where we are working at the visitor education centers are coming a lot of groups, including a lot of people, Christians, Muslims, everything from everywhere. And I'm always saying to my co-national Muslims, and they're agreeing with me, that as much as you will hate me more, and I will hate you more, and our children will fight and they will kill one another, they will make more money. And they are agreeing with that. They know that all this hateness, it's something that it's like put it in our veins, because as much as we will be in war one with another, other people are making tons of money. Look at what is happening with the Palestinians. Where are their leaders? They're not living in Gaza or in the West Bank. They are living in Qatar, and they are having the head of the Palestinians. He's having like $5 billion, more than Donald Trump. So they are making a lot of money from this conflict and war. Yasser Arafat, you remember that name? If you'll read his autobiography, you will see that he is writing there that the Palestinian nation is his own invention. He is writing that, not me. And he came as a refugee from Egypt, not even from Gaza. And he died as one of the richest persons in the world. From where? The money from all the humanitarian and poor people and poor, yes, there are poor people, but the money and the support, financial, and all the humanitarian aid, it's not reaching the people. All those money is going to their leaders. Yes, and you are an infidel and I'm an infidel.
Hey, if
You're
I
right.
could touch on one thing regarding what you said in the back there about the effects within Israel. At our location, it's very common to see like families, Muslim families, or Arab Christian families show up at our place, right? Sometimes there's large groups of Muslims, okay? And we treat everybody great. There's no doubt about it. There's no way that anybody could come and say we were mistreated or we weren't spoken to or you know, anything like that. But for the country, for the Muslim people, when I engage Muslim people at various places all over the country in Israel, I could make friends with them very quickly and easily, right? Learn some language, be invited to eat. It's like a piece of cake, right? I mean, it's really easy. But when something like this goes on, the Muslims, they kind of are forced or coerced through religion and society to identify with anti-Israel forces. There are those that take a stand and say, I'm not going to be a part of that, but it's rare, okay? And they don't have any influence, that demographic that is maybe anti-Hamas or anti-Fatah or anti-violence against the state of Israel. Like in the words of Bridget Gabriel, when it comes to societal influence, they're irrelevant. Okay, in other words, they make no impact. They make no change. Christian Arabs, for the most part, spend a lot of energy just trying to fly under the radar, okay? But there are some that are supportive and accepted into the IDF, or they're supportive of Israel because it's their state, okay? So, you know, like basically we've got tons of friends in the old city of Jerusalem that have been friends for years, but the marketplaces of the Arab portion of the old city have shut down, and they are doing it in support of Hamas. and they don't believe, they willfully do not believe that Hamas and their Arabs and their fellow Muslims did that to Israel. So they've been lied to, and they believe those lies.
And you remind me of another thing. I was with Chris in Israel, and we were driving in West Bank. And I was showing him, this is an Israeli settlement, this is a Palestinian village, and this is an Israeli, and this is Palestinian. And he was like, I can't understand how can you live with your enemies inside your country. You know your enemies are between you.
We're doing it now, though,
So
increasingly.
yeah, it's weird. I didn't pay attention to that, but for him was like, how is this working that you are living with your enemies like in the same place? And you are hearing about Palestinians they are not allowed to go here and there, and that's not true. Yes, they have to go through a checkpoint. Also, me and Chris, when we drove from these places out, we had to stand on the same check line and to be verified if we are legit or not. But Chris took a picture with a sign that it was the entrance in one of the Palestinian villages, and it's a big sign that is showing that these villages to the right, no Israelis allowed. You will come in Israel and you will go into Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, all over Israel, you will see on the streets Palestinian license plates. They are going wherever they want, if with the permit of course, but no one will do anything to them. They can go here and there and everywhere. And we had a Palestinian group that came to our side. And yes, we treat them with the same respect. There are people like any other people. But try to be Israeli or look as Israeli and go to the other side. And you will find what will happen to you. Yes? What accord?
Yeah, he's referring to the Donald Trump thing, the treaties that Donald Trump made, historic advances regarding Israel and Saudi Arabia, Israel and other Arab countries. So, and they call them the Abraham Accords.
Okay. Yes, I think there is chance. I think that we are seeing a nation like different Arab nations that are trying to make peace with Israel, trying to make like, maybe not peace, but a diplomatic or some kind of friendship between us. And you can see that it's a big difference between the Sunnites and the Shiites, because depends on the influence that are having in their country. You know the difference between the Sunnites and Shiites, the different Muslim types? Okay. So Iranians are Shiites and they are going with their thing and they are trying to conquer all the Arab nations, even that they are not Arabs. But they are having their influence. But the Sunnites, I think that are a little bit smarter. And they understand that with peace and good relation, they can reach even more than with war and hate and these kind of things. And that's why even the last soccer mondial championship, how is it called? The World Championship, okay.
The World Cup.
Yeah, that it was in an Arab state, Israelis were allowed to go there. And there are diplomatic good relationship with a lot of countries, Arab countries that are accepting and that are not sustaining Iran in what they are doing. Also in the attack of yesterday, there are Arab countries that are condemning them. I'm not saying that the Arabs and the Muslims are, all of them are bad people, and I think that everyone is born in his state and in his religion and his thing, but I think that everyone is human inside. So I still have a hope for peace. It will come with the price, but I still have hope for peace.
Pastor Jeff, go home? Oh, okay.
Not yet. What means that this thing will be finished? When we will be able to go back home in south and north without any threats, that will be finished. When the United Nations, they will do their job in the north and they will say, okay, Hezbollah is not allowed to cross the Litani River as it was supposed to be after 2006, after the Second Lebanese War, and all the south part of Lebanon close to the Israeli border was supposed after the Second Lebanese War to be free of Hezbollah. Probably then that will be over. We cannot interfere in other states' politics. And by the way, do you know how many wars were between Israel and Lebanon as states, as governments? Because all the time you are hearing the first Lebanese war, the second Lebanese war, and all those things. Actually, it was only one war, the independence war of Israel. After that, the first Lebanese war, what we are calling the first Lebanese war, it was actually against the Palestinian terrorist organization that they destroyed also Lebanon, and they've made a lot of terrorist attack on Israel ground also, okay? And the second Lebanese war was against Hezbollah as a terrorist organization, not against Lebanon as a country or as a government. We are not trying to govern, to interfere with other countries' government, but we want our borders to be safe.
It's getting late. I don't know if anybody has any final questions, but was there somebody that was piping up? I missed him? Okay, but when you go out in the parking lot, you can look at a yellow gas station. There's some kind of yellow motif around the top of the gas station. It's right over there. And then you could look off in the distance beyond the gas station. You could see a hill, okay? You could see a decent-sized hill, but that seems like a few kilometers away or, just a few miles. And when we look out from the Mitzpor, from the place that they want to go back to, they want to go back to their home. That amount of area is like totally unsafe and dominated by Hezbollah. So you talked about what does safe look like to you? The nation of Israel is largely united by behind the government, saying, yes, please finish the job in the Gaza Strip. Take out the rest of Hamas. And I just got to tell you a story. I just want to be really quick. Please forgive me. I know we're taking a long time, but it is kind of a special occasion. But I was in Israel when the war started, and then President Biden came and stayed in a hotel right next to where I was parked underground. I was parked underground at I had like a cheap hotel over there. And then there was like a nice hotel with a nice underground parking lot. So I said, I'm going to park my thing here so that I don't, come out to get my car and find it full of rockets. And and I didn't know that Biden was coming the next day. So I went to take my car out, and they said, you can't take your car out because the president of the United States is here. And I was like, I got things to do, and I couldn't take my car out all day. So I wound up going to hang out with some security people and policemen, that were there because to me, that's just like what you do, So I go across the street and I started hanging out with them. And they said, oh, your President Biden is here. He loves us. He supports us. He understands us. And I said, I said, well, I would, he's saying all the right things right now. He has to say those things. What else could he possibly say in light of the atrocities of these past couple days? But his tune's going to change. And they were like, no, he's giving us support. And I said, you watch, for myself. I said a few more choice words that regarding my opinion about particular people. And what you have just yesterday and today is Iran sent hundreds of drones. There's suicide drones, and then there's other more advanced drones that can carry weapon systems and target things. They have more control. They're not just suicide drones. But they sent hundreds, and Israel, praise the Lord, shot down 99% of the stuff. And you could say, well, it's in response to what Israel did when Israel took out some major Iranian leadership. That Iranian leadership was in control of Hezbollah and about to enact a larger level of warfare on the northern border with Israel. So Israel took out that Iranian military leadership guys see, this is complex, in the Syrian capital of Damascus. Iran had to do something. Otherwise, they're like, we're going to look like chumps, and we've got to do something. So they launched all these missiles there. All these missiles, they're to hurt, to kill, to cause terror. It is an unprecedented historical level of warfare for Iran to launch all this stuff from their own soil to Israel. And our current administration goes to Israel and says, we encourage you to exercise restraint. Okay, do you see how and that's what our administration has done to Israel over and over again. They did this to Israel regarding Hamas. They said, don't go into southern Gaza. Don't finish the job. Don't, give Hamas a chance to rebuild. And you know what? Genesis chapter 12 stands. I will bless them that bless you, and I will curse them that curse you. So we want to do the best we can to bless Israel, to really stand up with Israel. And when it comes to these issues about telling Israel that they need to exercise restraint and stuff like that, I just want to encourage you, fully support Israel. Stand with Israel. Don't listen to those that could pull up some story from the past or some YouTube video about some Israeli being mean to some Palestinian. Don't succumb to that, okay? Or some Israeli military thing, or a price was paid. Of course, Israel values all human life like no other country on earth. And but I just want to encourage you, don't fall for the lies. And when it comes to our own administration, we need to pray. We need to pray for our country, okay? Because, Satan is the father of lies, and he sows confusion, and he mixes lies with truth, okay? He throws them out alongside each other, and that's what Satan does. So I just want to encourage you, don't fall for the lies. Stand up for the truth. Read your Bibles. Tune into only good quality news sources, which is you're never going to get on the airways with the media, okay? You're just not going to get it. Like politicians, if their lips are moving, it's all messed up. And so I just want to encourage you to remember Buddy and Natalie, remember their daughters. Remember all the guys that we showed you in these pictures. These are the most precious people in the world, and pray for their sons and daughters. Pray for them. Pray for safety. That when the missiles come, they land and they're like a dud, And so, if you do that, I love the influence of God's word, because the more you read it and the more you talk to Him, you will think like He thinks, and you will feel the way He feels, and you'll have the discernment. You'll get the discernment about all these little gray areas and all of these little social and religious and, civilian and casualties. You'll get his influence upon your life. So, so I'm going to say a prayer, unless we've got one more question. Anybody at all? Nobody? Oh, you? Oh, wait. Who's it? Yes. Guys, I'm very sorry, but I forgot to bring a tip jar today. I usually have the table set up, the Big Z Hope table, but I forgot it. So this is the de facto tip jar right here. And yeah. Thank you, Richard. That's the best. And you guys are the best. And thank you. I want to thank you just for myself for showing the reality of what it means to know Jesus to some of the most important people in the world to me. And the love of the Lord, and we want to show it in a bigger way, and we know the time is short. Okay? So I just want to encourage you. You guys are a fantastic church, pastor, congregation, worship, men's groups, ladies groups. This is the place, and I love it here. And God loves you guys so much. And dare I say, if I have the Spirit, I also have the Spirit. I think that the Lord's really proud of you guys for how you've let yourself be truly filled with him, led by him, taught by him. Okay? So, do you want to say something? Do you want to pray a prayer, Pat? What? You want to pray out for us? Sure. That'll be great. You want to close this whole deal?
I could.
Okay.
I've been known to do that. Ruin a meeting, Lord, thank you for the blessing of having these Carl and Buddy and his wife, all of them come here today and share this stuff with us. Lord, my prayer has been, and it will continue to be, that you tangle the feet of those who would attack Israel, that more and more they'll just look stupid, and that more and more it will be obvious. But keep them safe, Lord. They're precious to you. And because you love us, they're precious to us. We ask that you give them Godspeed as they go and honor the things that they do in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let's thank him.
You guys.